We're just hours away from a new year, but we have one last gift for all of you faithful viewers here at Brad Carroll's Game Day before the ball drops in Times Square. Yes, we're going to give you the winners for 7 of the biggest bowl games of 2011, but I'm also going to give everyone a New Year's resolution that should never be broken. Stay away from Anthony and Craig's picks. Some things just never change.
You know, I've made a New Year's resolution myself for 2011, and I have vowed to be nicer to you in the new year, not take so many digs at you, not make so many jokes at your expense. But guess what? It's still 2010, so I don't have to worry about following that just yet. Listen, Brad getting all these games right, it's old news. He's not doing so well with his bowl picks. Stay tuned in 2011 to listen to what I have to say, because guess what? It's going to be the year of Anthony.
Oh, that's scary. All right, while we're at it, here's 2 more New Year's resolutions for college football. 1, the NCAA needs to start treating every team equally. We all know Ohio State and Auburn got off easy compared to the sentence put down on USC. That's just not right. And 2, the NCAA needs to get off its high horse and set up some kind of playoff tournament. 16, 8, 4, whatever. Just do it already.
I absolutely agree with you on both points, and as people who watch this show know, we don't often agree on things, so when we do agree, it definitely means that it should happen. These 2 things should happen.
Now, the biggest game of the new year in these parts is the Fiesta Bowl, featuring Oklahoma and UConn. And we're going to give our pick on that game a little later in the show. But I want to know right now, Anthony, the answer to this question. Is there any way this game doesn't end with Oklahoma winning by 40 points?
I don't know if it ends that way. Maybe they win by 50 points. No, I'm just kidding. You'll have to stay tuned in the show to see how much Oklahoma wins by, or whether UConn, actually, one of us is going to have the guts to pull off that upset pick.
The spread in that game is 17 points, which is probably as high as a BCS game can be. But we'll see how UConn responds in its biggest game ever. There are plenty of other huge matchups starting Saturday, and we're going to hit on all of them right now. You ready?
I'm absolutely ready. I've been waiting to talk about these BCS Bowls for a while.
All right, we'll kick things off with Florida and Penn State in the Outback Bowl. The Gators, a 7-point favorite, and the Nittany Lions both had down years. But the most shocking part of the season for the 2 teams is that Joe Paterno is still coaching, while the much younger Urban Meyer has called it quits. This will be Meyer's swan song with the Gators.
Yeah, who knew a bowl game involving Joe Paterno would have the other team celebrating the end of their coach's tenure with Urban Meyer? Look, this isn't Tim Tebow's Florida Gators. They've really struggled this year on offense, but I've got to believe that if those players have any pride at all, they're going to want to summon up their best performance to send Urban Meyer out on a winning note. I think the Gators find a way to get it done 20-17.
Yeah, 7 points is surprisingly big considering the 2 teams, but with Urban Meyer coaching his final game, there should be the added motivation to go out a winner, and I think the Gators will play big for their departing coach. Florida 28, Penn State 17. Next up, we have a big-time matchup as Michigan sits Craig Carroll.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you very much.
Almost as exciting as Snooki dropping in a ball on New Year's Eve. It's Craig Carroll dropping into the show.
There you go. All right, this is Craig Carroll's statement. I'm going to read it right now. So, Brad's resolution is to not listen to me or Anthony. Well, he's half right, as you should never listen to Anthony.
My New Year's resolution is not to be nice to him. He's absolutely wrong. Don't listen to him, ever.
I'll give you a little tidbit. In the 4 years we've gone head-to-head, Brad has a losing record when picking bowl games. On the other hand, I have a great record, and that trend has continued as I've shined so far this bowl season, while the 2 knuckleheads have struggled.
Well, I guess he's done his research. He's got a stat department now?
So don't expect the early season returns if you go with Brad. On to the picks. Florida, -7. Alabama, -10. Mississippi State, -4.5. Oklahoma, -17. Stanford, -3.5. Arkansas, +3.5. And my game of the week is also the toughest game to pick. I've gone back and forth, but I have to stick with my pick from the start of the year. TCU, -3, wins 24-20.
Very interesting pick and very interesting matchup here. Wisconsin's been on fire offensively the last 3 games. They're averaging over 65 points per game. But meanwhile, TCU, they have the best defense in the nation. They average only 11.4 points against per game. But the difference here is TCU also has an explosive offense. Both teams on the season are tied for 4th in the nation, averaging over 40 points a game. And I think that's the difference. TCU can win in a shootout, or they can win in a defensive slugfest. I expect some points to be scored, but in the end, the Horned Frogs prevail 34-30.
Yeah, I'll give Craig props for saying TCU was one of the best teams in the country at the beginning of the year. Not many said the Horned Frogs would be this good, so he gets a shout out for that. To realize how good TCU has been this year, look no further than the spread. The Frogs are 3-point favorites against the Big Ten champion in the Rose Bowl. Crazy. TCU, 27. Wisconsin, 23. Alabama, a 10-point favorite, takes on one-loss Michigan State in the Capital One Bowl. The Tide has lost 3 times this season, but that hasn't changed the fact that they are big favorites against the Spartans.
They are, but again, we've talked about motivation before in bowls, and here's the same situation. Michigan State had a storybook season, but they were left out of the BCS because, as we know, 3 teams from one conference can't make the BCS. Meanwhile, Alabama, they have national title aspirations every year. They didn't live up to them. The last time we saw them, they were blowing the lead against Auburn. I say Michigan State's storybook season gets the nice ending it's looking for. They win this game 27-24.
That's a big pick by Anthony. You know, Michigan State has had a great season, but the Spartans just aren't on the same level as Alabama. The Tide rolls in Orlando. Alabama 31, Michigan State 14. Mississippi State takes on Michigan in the Gator Bowl in what could be the final game coached by Rich Rodriguez. I'm saying Rich Rod will be back next season, but more importantly, who wins this game?
Yeah, a lot of turmoil surrounding the Wolverines, but you know what? It may be a new year, but as far as I know, the same guys on defense are going to take the field for Michigan, and that's not good news for Michigan. It's great news for Mississippi State. I think they'll run past Michigan easily in this game. Also of note, on defense, Mississippi State's one of the few teams that had success slowing down Cam Newton this year. You got Denard Robinson in Michigan. That should bode well for them. I think they win this game easy, 35-21.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you truly see how much a team wants to play for its head coach. Michigan can save Rich Rodriguez's job with a win in the Gator Bowl. And I'm thinking the Wolverines get the job done with an upset victory. Michigan 33, Mississippi State 30. I'm sure Anthony, our resident Hokie, will have plenty to say on this game as Virginia Tech plays Stanford in the Orange Bowl. Virginia Tech has been on a big roll, but Stanford is a 3.5-point favorite.
Yeah, 2 teams that no one would want to play if we had one of those things called a playoff, but we don't have that, but this is still a great matchup featuring 2 great quarterbacks, Andrew Luck and Tyrod Taylor. They're kind of known in different ways. Andrew Luck's known for his great arm, Tyrod Taylor's known for his feet, but both of them can hurt you in different ways. Luck can get out of the pocket, scramble, and go for a run if necessary, and Tyrod's really improved as a passer. But what this comes down to, in my opinion, is the run game. Both teams average over 200 yards a game, and I give the little edge there to Virginia Tech, and I think that's the difference in the game. Virginia Tech 30, Stanford 27.
Yeah, not a surprising pick by Anthony. Now, I've gone back and forth on this one as I could see both teams winning the game, but I'm going to put my perfect upset record on the line and go with Va Tech. Virginia Tech 30, Stanford 28. The Sugar Bowl has Ohio State, a 3.5-point favorite, taking on Arkansas. We all know the controversy surrounding the Buckeyes, but all players involved will play against the Hogs, including quarterback Terrell Pryor. Arkansas, on the other hand, has NFL prospect Ryan Mallett under center, making this a big-time matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know how I feel about the Ohio State suspended players. I don't think they should be allowed to play in this game, but they are, and that means Terrell Pryor takes the field. That means Arkansas is going to have to worry about him. On the flip side, Ohio State's normally stingy defense is going to have to worry about, as you mentioned, Mallett. And I think the difference in this game is it's going to come down to the 4th quarter, and at some point, Mallett's going to make that big key throw that lifts the Razorbacks to the victory here. Justice is served, because I don't want Ohio State to win this game. Arkansas 27, Ohio State 22.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going in this direction, but I'm picking a 3rd straight upset. Ohio State is 0-9 in bowl games against the SEC and 0-3 under coach Jim Tressel. Arkansas is a talented team and should get the job done Tuesday night. Arkansas 34, Ohio State 31. Finally, UConn takes on Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl as 17-point underdogs. Is there any way the Huskies actually compete with the Sooners?
You know, going into this game, the talk is only a fool would pick UConn to win this game. And contrary to popular belief, I'm not actually a fool. However, I do think UConn is not going to lose by as many points as people think they are. What they need to do is they need to have Jordan Todman control the game on offense, run that ball control offense with his great running ability. And they also need to limit Oklahoma's big plays. They got a lot of weapons. They got a quarterback who's thrown for over 4,000 yards, a receiver who's gone for over 1,000, and a running back who's gone for over 1,000. So UConn's going to have to avoid big plays and maybe hold them to some field goals. Nevertheless, the Sooners are going to win this game. You can't go any other way. 32-21, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I've heard it all here in Connecticut about the Huskies having a chance of a lifetime to shock the world and beat Oklahoma. Forget about it. Oklahoma is going to roll over the Huskies, and it's going to be bad. Oklahoma 52, Yukon 10. With that, we wrap up another edition of Brad Carroll's Game Day. Be sure to check out the print version in the pages of the Bristol Press and New Britain Herald on my blog at bradcarrollgameday.blogspot.com. And don't forget College Game Day Rewind exclusively on my blog. For Anthony, I'm Brad. Happy New Year.
But in case you thought you were rid of us, don't forget we still have one more show to go where we give you our national title analysis.